Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. Plenty of blame to go around. Plenty of blame to go around. Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Guys, welcome to Blamestorming. I am Dave Cyrus. With me, as always, is Marissa Smith. Say hello, Marissa.
Hey, guys.
And our guest today is Dan Wicks.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Dan. We have another guest coming, but we'll introduce him when the time is right and he arrives. How's everybody doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Good. I'm very proud of myself. I don't know if you could see this. Most people are listening, but because of last week when, of course, I had to take my pants off, this week I thought it would be very polite to bring a tank top and shorts for myself to wear and for our guest, Dan.
Yeah, and I'm a bit bigger than Dave, so it's a little...
It's not fitting great, but you know what? It's fitting.
Yeah.
It fits you. It's fine. You look fantastic, Dan.
Thank you, Dave.
Don't you second guess yourself. You look terrific, and you're going to thank me because this room is an oven.
Okay.
Which, by the way, as a Jew, I find a little offensive.
I'm looking at it as more of a sauna, and I'm just rolling with it. I'm not wearing Dave's tank top or shorts, although I believe you brought a pair for me as well.
No.
No, you just brought one? No, two?
No, actually, I brought two pairs. That's all I had on me when I ran out. Grabbed the wrong tank top. Didn't have that many, but I didn't want to give anyone anything that wasn't completely clean. So, Dan's the lucky one. That's why I got the wrong tank top. This one has a giant hole in it. I'm really... but you know what? I'm happier than I would be if I was wearing, like, adult clothes because it is amazingly hot in here.
I'm wearing, like, two shirts.
It is easily 20 degrees hotter in here than it is outside.
I mean, it's possible, but, like...
Oh, no, it's like 70 degrees outside. There is no way it's below 85 right now. But don't worry. Just give it time. It tends to build up as we go along. Anyway... How you feeling, Dan?
I'm feeling good.
I mean, specifically your body temperature.
Well, I got the fan on me right now, so I guess I'm,
It's rising, though, right? You see what I mean? It's getting there.
Yeah, I guess I'll find out soon.
We're going to get all sticky up in here talking politics. Yeah. I was actually, if you want to start off, I was reading about a guy that a lot of people probably don't know about named Bruce Orr. Are either of you familiar with a man named Bruce Orr?
No, Dave. I'm not familiar with Bruce Orr.
Okay, here's the funny thing about that. Bruce Orr is someone that no one should know the name of because he is a mid-level FBI employee. The problem is that Bruce Orr is the only person in the FBI, I believe it is, in the FBI who has not been removed from his position yet. That was one of the people who James Comey explained after Trump asked him to let the Michael Flynn investigation go, which of course he later realized was a direct obstruction of justice attempt. James Comey then told the entire senior staff what had just happened, because that is a form of proof. To say, this just happened just now, so if it ever comes up later, I want everyone to know that this happened.
Right, everyone's on the same page.
So like 10 different people. So that kind of counts as proof because, of course, why would someone months before he had any reason to make a story like that up? Only a crazy person would do that, which is why Trump assumed he did it, because that's how Trump thinks. That he would just start putting, blackmail crumbs everywhere for anyone to get him with. Meanwhile, James Comey, of course, was not fired. He had no reason to want to blackmail Trump. Something bad happened. Trump said, I want you to let this investigation of Michael Flynn go. And then he went and told everyone on the staff. Every one of the people that he spoke to, Trump has found a different reason for removing them from their jobs, except for Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr was the lowest ranking person there. He is a mid-level government employee. He's not someone who would ever be a national story, but Trump is now tweeting about him every day, saying he's a disgrace and we need to remove his security clearance. Now, specifically, Trump can remove anyone's security clearance he wants.
Right.
If Bruce Orr has his security clearance removed, Bruce Orr will lose his job.
Okay. So he's still currently working for the FBI?
Yes, he's still currently a Justice Department employee. I don't have the exact what the exact title is, but yeah, he's a low-level employee. He's one of the people who James Comey corroborated his story with. And Trump is trying to simply expunge everyone from the FBI who has the ability to judge him.
Right.
Anyone
Yes.
who's, not partisan, anyone who's not loyal to him, anyone who's loyal to the truth.
Well, also anybody, it seems, that would be able to testify in an open setting about the Russia probe and how it began, and anyone that would possibly be a witness.
Actually, Bruce, it's funny you brought that up. The problem is that is not true. Bruce Orr could not be a witness in the Russia probe because Bruce Orr has nothing to do with the Russia probe. That's the big crazy thing here. Trump is going after him simply because he was a witness to something happened to Comey. And then Trump said, we have to get rid of security clearance because this man had a conflict of interest and was part of the Russia probe. The problem was, he was never part of the probe. That is a lie Trump has been telling over and over again to confuse people. And the reason that he said, what he's been saying that Bruce Orr did to deserve to lose his job is the fact that Bruce Orr's wife worked for Fusion GPS, which was a very large data firm that was related to finding background information on candidates, which is something that every candidate does to every
Right.
other candidate.
Yeah.
So now it's and the idea that he had personally spoken to Christopher Steele at different points in his life because Christopher Steele is someone who worked with the FBI commonly. Was is a respected spy for the British government at one time, and then worked for the FBI extensively.
But Fusion's the one that ultimately ended up buying the Steele dossier, though.
Yes.
Right.
So here's the problem. So Trump might have an argument, probably wouldn't, but might have an argument to say that a person who knows Christopher Steele shouldn't be in charge of deciding if it should be used in the Russia investigation. And he could also say that if his wife was involved with finding with Fusion GPS, then maybe that's a conflict of interest. The problem is, how can it be a conflict of interest when he has nothing to do with the Russia investigation? He's now saying we are going to punish and fire and remove the security clearance of anyone who's an associate of someone who I find to be threatening me. So he's saying now, if you're the husband of someone I don't like, you're going to lose your job. If you're the wife of someone I don't like, you're going to lose your job. And I think just because people don't care enough and there's too much other news going on, people aren't realizing this is one of the most dictatorial things we've ever seen. And it's unbelievably dangerous that he's doing this. Hey, and our
Hey,
other
JP.
guest is here.
Hey.
JP McDade. I was just explaining the Bruce Orr situation. I am not going to repeat it because it is very boring.
I'm going to pretend I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, no one else does either. I just had to read up about him. He's the guy that Trump says is a disgrace because his wife worked for Fusion GPS and knows Christopher Steele, even though he never actually had anything to do with the Russia investigation. He didn't start the Russia investigation, which means there is no conflict of interest. And the point is, Trump's acting like a dictator, and not a lot of people even know about this particular aspect of it.
I mean, all of that was exactly what I was going to say.
Good, good. Anyway, so that's just something I wanted to open with because I was really, really horrified by it. Oh, and I should explain, I'm so glad you came in wearing shorts because I forgot to bring shorts for you. I brought shorts and tank tops for myself and Dan because it is going to turn into an actual oven in here.
Yeah.
I am sorry.
And you just had to put your phone on airplane mode.
Put your phone into airplane mode, JP.
On
Anyway,
it.
so that was the background about Bruce Orr. Just wanted to educate people. It's really, really scary.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, couldn't you just say, like, de facto anybody that's involved with, like, the whole Flynn thing is kind of involved with the Russian thing?
No. No.
But it's like the Flynn thing is basically part of the Russian thing.
The Russian investigation was started when George Papadopoulos bragged to an Australian diplomat that they had information about Hillary Clinton that they had gotten from the Russian government. And that employee, that Australian then felt it was obvious that we needed to do something about that because that was a crime.
Right.
Being one of the people who was a witness to James Comey explaining that he was asked to shut down the Flynn investigation does not make one part of the Russian investigation. You're part of the Russian investigation if you are salaried and working in the Russian investigation.
No, but I mean that he can testify to that part of it, that Comey talked to him about that.
Yes, he can.
Right. So that's what I mean.
The accusation is that he is part of the Russian investigation, not a witness, but
Right.
but someone helping prosecute the investigation or someone who was involved in the
No, but what
creation of the
I mean
investigation.
is that, like, it seems like Trump is specifically going after people that can testify testify in some
Yes,
way,
yes.
shape, or form
Yes,
about the Russian
exactly.
investigation.
It's why everyone in the news media is evil. It's why everyone who's in a position to judge him in a criminal investigation like the Russia probe is automatically not fit to judge him. So his whole idea is he knows he cannot argue the merits of the case because he knows he's already accidentally admitted to the guilt of obstruction of justice.
Right.
And with collusion. He admitted to both.
Right.
So now he simply has to say, well, it doesn't matter because there is no one alive who is capable, has the purity to judge me, Donald Trump.
I also think that when he starts taking their security clearance away, it makes it more difficult for them to be able to testify because they can't go back and view their notes and actually kind of, I mean, this has been months and like away, so like it's not fresh in their memory. It's not like, you know, it's so much craziness has happened that they've probably forgotten important things that they would need to look back in their files, and if they don't have security clearance, they can't do that, which kind of makes them not seem as credible a witness when if they do have to testify because they can't verify, like, oh, well, you know something, according to a memo that I wrote on November the 16th, this happened. It's going to be like, I talked to someone in November, I think I wrote a memo, I wasn't able to check my files, so I can't really verify that.
Well, I like to believe that high-ranking people in the FBI have a little bit more capacity to remember important things. I'm hoping that, you know, you don't get to be someone that high up unless you remember things that are that important. Because, I mean, when the
you
president...
might remember, like, who was in the room, but you might not remember the date it happened.
Well, yeah. The point is, we have a very serious freaking problem that people are just letting him act like a dictator.
Well, he is a dictator.
No, he's not. He's just acting like one. We're letting him get away with it. It's more... He's a dictator in the way that a child with one of those bubble lawnmowers is actually mowing the lawn. We're letting them do it. And he thinks he's doing it. It's just not, like, technically happening. Anyway.
I can see why you put on tank tops for this.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
sweaty subjects.
They are. Anyway, I didn't want to bog us down in that sort of crap. What's going on, JP?
Hey, I'm a little all over the place. I just got off the plane, did a show, came here.
Oh, my God. Where'd you come from?
From Pittsburgh. I was out there for a
Pittsburgh.
wedding.
What you doing there? Comedy?
No,
Wedding.
I wish. Yeah, just there for a wedding. Just.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, the way I dance is kind of comedic, but that's about the extent of it.
Well, you are
Yeah.
very tall.
This is true.
Now, you are 6'5"?
6'7".
Oh, my God. 6'7".
It's-
You are 6'7".
It's too much.
140 pounds.
Yeah, you know, and on a humid day, yeah,
Right.
something like that.
No, I understand. That is hilarious. Your physical dimensions are hilarious.
Right, I have an advantage.
Just alone.
Who got married?
Buddy of mine from college.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? While we're here, let's talk about something we can all talk about. I just wanted to open up with that because I was just reading about Bruce Orr and it's goddamn terrifying. Would you guys mind, since you guys are both, like everyone that I have on this show, are both roast battlers,
Oh wow.
you want to talk a little bit about Roastmasters ending?
There's no way I know more than you do. I'm pretty in the dark.
Well, right, because you replied to you found out from me.
I was
Yeah.
like, well, what's going on?
Well, just a little background. Just, you know, something we know that I roast battle. A lot of the guests I have on are people I know through roast battle. Not everyone. Just, you know, everyone that I bother to talk to.
Close enough.
But yeah, Dan and JP are both very accomplished battlers. JP's been on the TV show.
Back
actually.
in the day.
Yeah, was in the TV show back when New Yorkers were on the show. And the reason I bring that up is because what happened was, if you're familiar with
I heard
Louis,
that was part of it. That was like,
Yeah.
well, if you're familiar with Louis J. Gomez, who has a popular podcast, Legion of Skanks, of course, he was on the show and he made an announcement that Roastmasters was ending. And he said it was multiple reasons. He said one of it was that there are other roast battles in New York, which, you know, I don't think that should be a reason. I think it's a big enough city to sustain multiple ones, you know, the New York
Yeah.
Comedy
Yeah.
Club and Comedy Fight Club. But he said another big part of it was that, not out of spite, he said, I want to be clear, I don't want to misquote him, but that he said by not really having any New York representation on the TV show, it didn't make it as worth it for them to put the time into the show. And that they didn't feel they were going to get
so
the
it was
top level
suddenly
people.
kind of, it seemed pointless now that there wasn't as much. I mean, a couple of New York people were on the TV show this year, right?
There was Eli Sayers.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
Yeah.
Kim Congdon were the two
Right.
people who have
She's
done
new to New
Roastmasters who were on the show.
And like Joe List and Sarah Talamash.
They've never done Roastmasters.
They've never
have they?
done Roastmasters. Yeah,
No, I'm
true.
talking specifically of people who do roast battle in New York.
Right.
Not
Isn't
New York
Yamanika
comics.
on it also?
She was.
She's also never done Roastmasters.
She's judged it
She judged
a couple
it,
times.
yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
she,
So
hasn't
the
been.
only people who had ever done Roastmasters, roast battle, New York roast battlers were Eli Sayers and Kim Congdon. And when Lewis brought that up, he also mentioned that, well, Kim is really known as an LA roast battler. She's
Yeah.
already been on the show as an LA roast battler. She's someone they already knew from that. So that was something he brought up. He was like, well, she doesn't, she of course is a New York battler who deserves it, who's a really great battler, but that it doesn't really, in his eyes, count as representing the New York roast master scene.
Because she's
Right.
in LA.
Because she probably
Yeah.
could have gotten the spot just as from her LA battles alone. And
Right.
she'd already been on the show and is someone who's deserved it for many years. So she absolutely should have been on the show. But yeah, that was what Lewis said. Lewis, and it's like, I don't want Roastmasters to end, but I did really respect the fact that he was able to be like that. Like, no, this is why. This is, that it was kind of a fuck you. And it does kind of sound like it. Like he's saying, well, I guess there's really no point in doing this.
Yeah.
We have seen Lewis quit before, though.
Yes, that is true.
He's taken his ball and gone home, and then come back with the same ball
Right, after.
after a short. Period.
Yes, Lewis did
He
quit.
needs a little refractory period every now and then. Just
Yeah.
comes right back.
Well, he does look a little bit like a penis. So, but yeah, I mean, were you guys? I mean, you were surprised by that, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
Jape?
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. I just like I didn't like. I found out via Twitter, I guess. The way I find out about all momentous events, like the death of Osama bin Laden, and, now Roastmasters.
And I will be honest, having you reply to my Twitter was quite a thrill. Yeah, getting that checkmarked reply is always. Are you checkmarked?
I'm not checking.
Oh, you're not?
No.
I'm sorry. I did not
They-
mean to bring that up.
They give those away.
I
but
thought I
not to me,
figured you would be
apparently.
because you got TV credits.
Oh, I appreciate that, but I think you have to like give them your driver's license or something.
Yes,
to
you
get
do,
verified
which is
that.
what I did. Yeah, but
So now, are you going to be like battling with now? Who's taking its place now? The
so there was already
Comedy Fight Club?
There was already Comedy Fight Club in New York, and there was already the New York Comedy Club roast battle. Comedy Fight Club is now going to take over the Stand's Tuesday night slot.
Okay.
So there will no longer be a Sunday night Comedy Fight Club. It will now specifically be just Comedy Fight Club is now what happens at the Stand on Tuesday nights where Roastmasters used to be.
Okay.
So I guess honestly, are you guys like? But for both of you, do you think you're gonna slow down? Maybe not do as many. Does this kind of take away your desire to do it?
I mean, I already haven't been doing as many, but like, I'll probably do it again. I don't know. It's just a fun type of show to do, whether it's Roastmasters or like Comedy Fight Club. It's not like I swore allegiance to one of them over the other. you know?
Yeah. I'm
Still
more.
do it.
I'm just more worried about like all the club politics.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I was certainly hoping that that this new situation would sort of just be a blank slate and that there would not need to be any
New
kind
room.
of rivalry between anyone. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'd hope the insult comedy show would go on without any feuds.
It's all about positivity when we're making jokes about our family's deaths.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a weird situation because it's like no one. The last thing we want is for this to not be happening anymore. But it's also
Right.
like if Lewis doesn't want to do it, he has a right to have more important things. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but Legion of Skanks is apparently the most powerful organization on earth. Because if you went to Skankfest, it was goddamn ridiculous how many people came out. Were you there?
I didn't. No, I couldn't make it this year.
It was huge.
I went to it, I think, 2 years ago.
It
There's
look.
been a
I mean,
couple shows.
I
It's exploded since then, though.
It just, you would swear you're at a gathering of the Juggalos where they took away their makeup.
There's just, I mean, I don't know what the fire code is plus Jankos at whatever their venues were, but that had to be factored in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of dudes in big ass shorts.
Yeah, it was an impressive. Do you guys know Tom Goss? He was a guest.
Yeah,
here
yeah, I
before.
know Tom.
I had to find Tom Goss because he was going to give me a laminate when I wanted to go in. And when I got there, I had to go look for Tom Goss. I was like, oh, this place is just thousands of Tom Gosses.
So where's Waldo?
Tom is just like a stocky guy with a shaved head and like a metal T-shirt, and you're like, that's every single person
Yeah,
here.
dude, go see Tom. He's the guy with the mohawk.
Yeah.
He looks angry.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I mean, do you guys? I mean, is everyone? I mean, well, Dan was already a Comedy Fight Club guy, But I mean, are you down? So you're
Comedy
I
Fight
hope.
Club's coming up.
I just hope
Seems
people
coming
like.
upstairs.
I just
yeah.
hope the top level people like J.P. McDade
Oh shucks.
and Dan Wicks are still going to keep hurting people's feelings for audiences.
Yeah, I think we're gonna narrow the scope of whose feelings I hurt. I think for a while it was going on, and they're doing whoever they were put in front of me. I get on there and battle, find out about them, whatever. Now I think it's going to be more limited to like.
Was that
people
because
I'm
you
friends
felt like
with.
you needed to do that to get a shot at the TV show?
That's a good question.
The number of times you were doing it in the year, was that part of the issue?
I can't say that didn't play a part. I think that has to factor in, like at least subconsciously. So,
Right.
Yeah, I'd think I'd be full of shit if I was like, no. the
See,
TV
I
show doesn't
think
matter.
that's sort of I'm guessing that's where Lewis's frustration came in
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people who like this were kind of killing themselves doing it because they thought this is their chance. They can get on the big stage.
Maybe, but here's the thing: like, when I did the show a couple years ago, it was awesome. It was an incredible experience, and I was psyched about it. At the end of the day, I like. It's not like I'm touring now. I don't. It's not,
Not
like I'm
one new
headlining.
Instagram
It's
follower.
not- yeah, I got it. You know, that little pop on Instagram. That's about it. And then, but I think there's also that there's like the small world aspect to it too, where just within the group itself, turn the cameras off, forget about the potential of a TV show. There's this whole crop of new battlers who are really good. People like Dan and people like, Maddie Smith and all these people from Comedy Fight Club who were awesome at it. And the old guys like me and Eli, we were like, I think we kind of have to still prove ourselves a little bit against this new wave of talent. So it was just like, it was as stupid as it sounds, kind of a pride thing. But
Yeah, it's all about
It's
pride.
also
It's,
pride.
all, it's all about not wanting to
yeah.
lose your spot as
Yeah.
like I'm the 5th best person in the world at this. You know,
Yes,
you don't want to
seriously.
lose that. You want to like, I mean, they haven't updated the ranks, but like the last time I saw I was 3rd.
Yeah.
And now that rank doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So you want to protect your spot because I'm not even that into getting TV spots. I just wanted to be in whatever the highest level of this was on like a competition
Be
level.
recognized for that. And then, that could lead to writing job. It certainly has helped me get like work since then of different, not necessarily TV shows, but like
Right.
writing
I mean,
jobs like that,
and
but-
it's not that, and I'm assuming that like you, even though like, it helped you a lot, I'm sure just doing the show alone was, just to be able to be on TV body shaming a black woman was still enough of a benefit for you.
It was massive. It was the most nervous I've ever been, and like the most excited.
Who
I've
did you
ever been. It was
battle?
awesome. Yamanika.
Oh, okay.
Actually, so yeah, and
Who was, by the way, almost going to be a guest tonight.
really,
So that actually would have
Oh,
been an
that would've been awesome.
accidental, funny thing to
yeah,
happen.
just the rematch,
Yeah.
bring it back.
Yeah.
And we've hung out a few times since then. We,
Oh, no, she's
became
fantastic.
Friends that way. She's amazing, and she killed it on this season of the show.
Oh,
too.
she was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
her
really great.
against Jamar.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love Jamar too.
Yeah.
I first met Jamar when we were talking to some other comedians, and he took my side when I got really upset that some people didn't believe in the moon landing.
Your side was
That it happened.
okay.
I was arguing that it happened, and I get
Yeah.
so crazy when people like start believing in like really shitty conspiracies just
Yeah.
because they can.
That would be a very fun one to believe in, but I don't believe in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, why and how? Like, you can literally, with a telescope good enough, go and see the stuff they left there.
Yeah.
So now, do you have to start all over again?
I mean, with ranks?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea how that's going to work. I don't think anyone's even really discussed how that's going to work.
I love the rankings. Like I saw them and I was like, oh, this is the dumbest thing. Like, why would you have rankings for roast battle? And then my immediate next thought was like, why the fuck am I number 6?
Yeah.
There aren't 5 people.
Well,
better
I remember you announcing that you will face anyone
Yeah.
above you in the rankings who has
Yeah.
nothing to gain by beating you.
Exactly.
Which is very brave. Very brave.
Give me the people who haven't
Yeah.
thought it out.
We kind of had that with Fight Club too. Matt
Yeah.
made up rankings, I think, because he kind of saw this opportunity to slide in if something ever happened with Roast Masters.
It's just fun to have ranks, though.
What
yeah.
a conniver.
It's
What a
just a-
sleeveless conniver that Matt Marin is.
Yeah.
I said it on the record.
Well, I remember when he was on the Real Ass podcast during every break, he was just whispering to Lewis, like, you're too big for this. What are you wasting your time?
LA is calling, Lewis. You should go to Los Angeles, Lewis.
Did you hear what happened to Scott Chaplin? He lost a big opportunity because of roast battle. You should get out of this.
This PC culture has won amok.
I did not mean for this to just be doing Matt Maron impressions.
I'm doing the rest of the podcast in Matt Maron voice. Big ass Elmer Fudd.
I did have a joke I
Love
wrote when someone else was facing him, just because I just always throw people jokes. Like I offer them even I'm proud of them when they don't do them, but I did want to say that Matt about his voice. Matt Maron, if it was the person he was facing, a lot of people think is autistic, and he's sitting just to my left right now.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, a lot of people call Dan autistic, which I don't think you look. I don't think you act autistic. I'm sorry, I meant to say you look autistic.
Yeah.
You don't actually have symptoms of it. You just sound it.
Yeah.
And people make jokes about that. I said you could say, yeah, Matt's calling me autistic. You know what else he calls autistic? Anyone he's trying to call artistic.
Oh, that's good.
Because he has a.
That's nice and specific.
Yeah, he has a speech impediment.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk well, folks.
He doesn't talk well.
Doesn't do good.
You showed him.
Roasted.
So, Dave,
See, I
what's
still got
going
it.
on with the Giuliani?
Giuliani. Did you guys happen to see Rudy Giuliani today get very upset with Chuck Todd over the fact that
Was he out in the sunlight?
Giuliani was in the natural light of the studio in Atlanta, but yeah, Giuliani was saying that they were saying, like, why don't you want Trump to testify? And he said, well, because why should we let him do a perjury trap when, what is perjury?
God.
Is it, he says, like,
He loves lying so much.
yeah, he was like, well, what is
Basically
one
what he
truth
said.
versus another truth? He said, and then Chuck Todd said, well, truth is truth. And then Giuliani said, no, truth is not truth. And then you literally saw Giuliani get really upset and like kind of furrow his brow and be like, don't do this to me.
Yeah.
He divided by 0. He just gave himself a stroke.
Yeah, and he just said, like, well, there's no.
Truth is not
well,
truth.
what if Trump says he did one thing and Mueller says he did another, and who's to say what's real? And the problem is, like, that's not how perjury works. You don't get a
Yeah.
perjury charge because one person says you're lying. You get a perjury charge if they can prove you're lying. So right off the bat, Giuliani's trying to confuse what perjury even is and trying to be like, oh, just anyone who's mean to me can just say I'm a perjurer.
So it's that classic thing of like, we're not going to put him out there because it's a perjury trap, but he would never perjure. But they would set him up to do it, but he wouldn't do
Yeah.
it. It's
No,
like-
they're saying he would perjure himself by accident because anyone, by just being honest, could be sentenced for perjury if other people are lying, which is
Yeah.
a very.
Well, they just
that's
know
not what
he
perjury is.
can't tell the truth. Like, Trump is incapable of telling
Yeah.
the truth. Like,
Well,
I don't even think
right.
he'll admit to his own name. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like he lies about absolutely everything. And I think that's why his legal team keeps saying it's a perjury trap. Just not so much that it's a trap, but the fact that since he can't tell the truth, anyone asking him a question is trapping him into perjury.
Exactly.
Right. And I watching this, and I think we all kind of agree that Giuliani is showing some signs of dementia.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going
See-
first, Trump or him. Like,
Oh,
they're both
Giuliani's
going
so much worse.
batshit crazy.
See, I think that Trump made Giuliani his surrogate on the news because he thought dementia was contagious. And he apparently thought that as confused as Giuliani is, he can confuse everyone else. Because that's essentially what Giuliani's doing. He's just going out there, confusing himself, and then hoping that extends to everyone else who listens.
He's just getting his reps in. He's had a few rough sets out there, but he'll pick it up. He's just open micing these questions and answers. But I think I like that they're immediately sowing the seeds now so that when Trump does perjure himself, he'd be like, oh, it was a perjury trap. And then everyone who supports Trump will be like, oh, yes, the famous term perjury trap that we all
Yes.
know. And it's totally fine.
Well, I think
Yeah.
perjury
Politically,
trap
at least.
is kind of a dog whistle to his fans because I
Yeah.
think what they're really saying is, do you like the president? Do you think what he's doing is right?
You don't want to see him in a trap, do you?
Do you think that when this is what it really is. Don't you think that when Trump lies every day, he's lying for you? Don't you think he's your fighter out there and he's lying to the American people every day for its own good? And deep down, this is what they're eventually going to get to is, why are we mad at Russia for saving us from Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
That's what they're eventually going to say. They're
Well,
saying
some of those people
It's
are already saying
basically
that.
already, yeah.
like I've seen like videos of people saying like, oh, like we know that Russia helped Trump, but thank God for Putin that Putin saved the United States from Hillary Clinton.
Well, when they say things like QAnon, who now claim that every major politician except for Donald Trump has been involved in a child sex prostitution ring, what they're saying is, when it's proven that he colluded with Russia to win the election, we will say, well, what choice did he have? He had to save the babies.
Yeah. Or just when it's proven that he's involved in a child prostitution ring, that everybody's involved in a child prostitution ring.
That's a good point. That is an excellent. that is 3D chess right there. Yeah, because of course, I mean, Trump was accused, but in a way that people later said wasn't credible. But he was accused of sex with a kid.
Yeah.
He was
13-year-old.
buddies with, what's the guy's name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
Epstein.
Who's
Yeah.
went to jail for pedophilia. But
Right, and then people said, well, Bill Clinton's been on that plane,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, but he wasn't accused
Yeah,
by
I've
a
heard that
child.
too. Like, that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
That's why the Democrats couldn't go quite as hard as they wanted to against Trump for all his like perverse sexual activity. Because for every story about Trump, there was like a similar one about Bill Clinton. So he was,
Right,
like,
and of course, Trump owns a time machine, and we could have gone back and made Clinton lose.
the quotes. The quote I think that Trump had in the press, like in a magazine interview about Jeffrey Epstein, was like, "Oh yeah, I've been on his plane before. It's great. I heard he likes women even younger than me."
That's fantastic. Which also is not true. We know for a fact that Trump walked in on 15-year-olds changing
Yeah.
Yes, he
at
said
the
that.
Miss Teen USA.
Yeah.
He bragged about it on Stern.
Yep. Nobody cares.
He was just trying to impress Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, was that like he was supposed to be, I guess like the 13-year-old at the time when she claimed that he had allegedly assaulted her was going to go forward right around election time, and then like it just disappeared. Like the story just died.
Well, I believe that was thrown out of court. I don't know the details of it, and I mean, I'm not going to say that it was something nefarious about it, but yeah, that it was a news story because it was, I believe, originally filed, and then no, she dropped it, I guess. But yeah, it did go away,
yeah, it just went away.
and it's not like bribery is impossible in these situations.
Right.
I mean, considering how many people I heard were going to get Me Too'd and then didn't, I'm guessing that there's a lot of money flowing around. These
I know.
days.
There's a slush fund going.
Who have you guys heard was going to get Me Too'd but then didn't?
I think
no,
everyone
no,
who
no,
told
no,
me-
no, no,
Place to
but-
name
no,
names.
without naming names.
Before you answer, I wanted to be clear. That was that was a getting sued trap.
That was a perjury
Yeah.
I
trap.
feel like I had to yell that.
That
right
was a
before you
libel
said
trap.
it, But yeah.
The rest of
Thanks.
the segment would just be
Slander. Libel is written, slander is said.
Oh,
that
God.
from the
Although I have heard
the
this
Spider-Man
guy,
guy.
Correct. Yes, that's from Spider-Man.
Print, it's called libel.
Yes.
Yeah.
But on that note, I think every single person who I've heard was going to get Me Too got it like shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
sources are batting 1,000 right now. So.
Yeah.
That means gossip is great. No, there were a few people that I was going around being like, "This is who's next," and then they didn't get it, and I was just like, "Well, I hope I was right, and they're just monsters,"
Yeah.
rather than me just being wrong about someone being abused. But yeah, I mean, everyone heard the Aziz thing before it happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
heard-
then when it came out, all of us were like, "That's what we heard about."
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, in that article I skimmed. I was like, oh,
it wasn't the best written
That's
article.
not good. Yeah.
Nothing. I didn't think the woman whose story it was. She had done nothing wrong. It was the woman who wrote the article that basically screwed it up for everyone, and then
Yeah.
started like trolling journalists.
Yeah. I remember that.
She called Ashley Banfield old, and it was like, this
Yeah.
is not helping you
Oh, I
at
didn't
all.
see any of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, Ashley Banfield had like, what was what you would say fair criticism, not over the line criticism, but just saying that criticism that a lot of people said that maybe this story didn't live up to what we're asking them to do to Aziz in response to it.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, well, I'm sorry that some 50-year-old with shitty makeup doesn't get. And it was like, well, no one's ever going to listen to words you say
It's a
again.
Trumpian response.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Speaking of Trumpian responses, I have to bring this up real quick. You guys know about that woman running in Florida who they found out she photoshopped her own diploma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but respect.
Yeah. She photoshopped her diploma. They found out about this, and guess what her initial response to the news media who found out she never actually graduated from the college she said was?
It's like, well, yeah, my diploma's fake, but you have adult braces.
Well, you're close, but can you distill that answer down to just 2 words?
Fake news.
Yeah, she yelled fake news.
No.
And then a few days later, apologized for photoshopping and lying about her graduation.
But she had already fake newsed her way out of it, so it was totally fine.
She had already said it was fake news, but then of course, the college itself said, "You never graduated from here."
Yeah.
And what people have been
Well, we all know
bringing up,
colleges are fake news, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're-
and it just brings up an important problem of that the trickle down effect of Trump, of now like every pathological liar is no longer afraid to just go out there and lie.
Their
Yeah, well, that
playbook is
was-
just getting thicker. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the whole Roy Moore thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Roy Moore, who was, by the way, did you guys see Sacha Baron Cohen's new show that had Roy Moore on it?
Yeah, that was great.
Where they had a pedophile detective.
Yeah, that was so funny.
It was really funny, but the most amazing thing about that scene was when Roy Moore said, "I have never been accused of pedophilia."
That's a lie right there.
Yeah.
But it,
And it's also the wrong thing. Yeah, it's like, I'd feel way better about it, Roy, if you just said, hey, I'm not a pedophile.
yeah.
and what's funny about it is like, think about how, when you've been accused of being a pedophile, I guess it doesn't really hurt to also be a liar.
Yeah.
It's not like anyone's be like, I could accept the kid fucking,
Yeah.
but not lying about it.
Yeah.
Be
He's
a
an
man about
honest
it.
man who fucks kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, 10 Commandments, they do say you shall not bear false witness. They don't say anything about pedophilia. So
That
he's
is
off the hook in my eyes.
Yeah.
that as long
I
as
mean,
she's your wife.
Speaking of kitty touchers, have you guys been following this whole thing with the diocese in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania and
Oh,
like
God.
1,000 kids? I've at least 1,000 that they know of, but it's probably more. Were molested by these priests, and
I'm glad you had that caveat because I know there are conspiracy people being like, I know it's not real because it would never be a round number like 1,000.
Oh,
Right.
God.
Well, you had to like say that there's going to be people that have not admitted to it or might not even remember, because if they were really young, like a lot of victims block out these memories.
Right.
I mean, if you're around 1,000, you'd have to say it's probably at least like
10,000.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really
Well, I mean, it was did you guys ever see the old Louis C.K. sketch that he did years ago about the Catholic Church that they were very, very offended by?
no.
It's
I
an
don't
amazing
remember.
sketch.
Yeah.
It's early in his career. You've
They
seen
had
it,
more
right?
in common than they thought. They bonded recently.
Yeah, Bill Donahue is not quite as judgmental as he used to be of Louis C.K.
Is this
and vice versa.
Yeah. Is this from, the one from the show, Louis, where he's like a kid
No.
in confession and stuff?
Way
or-
before that, before Louis was really even famous,
Yeah.
he did a sketch where he's interviewing a Catholic priest, and the priest very, very dryly explains, like, the Catholic Church is a thousands of years old organization built with the singular purpose of fucking boys. And like that was years ago, back when that was kind of a joke. And now it's
It
like
becomes truer every day.
well,
Yeah.
obviously the Catholic Church wasn't created for that purpose, but there are so many people who have abused the church for that purpose. And
It's been in lockstep with those like evil aims probably from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
It might not have been founded on that, but it's like, yeah, that's
well, let's face
almost
it.
a foundational principle.
When they
of
got
the
to
thing.
when they got to the day that they said we need to get priests to stop having children because then they'll leave their property to their children and not the church, someone said, let's look the other way with whatever it takes to keep that going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is the really terrifying part of
it
it.
ain't great.
Well, I also feel like pedophiles are probably drawn to becoming priests because they know that the church is just going to let them slide. Like they're never going to be prosecuted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're
move
just
them
going to
around.
move them from parish to parish.
It's even worse than that.
And-
I mean, for hundreds of years, it was common practice that if you had a child who, to put it delicately, seemed like they weren't going to grow up and marry a woman, they would push them into the priesthood.
Yeah.
And the problem was they would then all these effeminate children are being left with formerly effeminate children who, instead of being able to grow up like normal gay men, are now in this horribly toxic environment where they're in charge of these boys who were sent there because they seemed like they might be gay. It created this perfect storm for predators.
Right.
All these isolated kids who have to hide who they are, and then some priest there, if he wants to be able to, and like we know, men will do bad things usually. All you really need to do is give them the opportunity.
Right. And this was like so disturbing, though. Like they had a whole system of once they identified children that I guess they felt were pliable, they would give them a golden cross so that the other pedophile priest would know that this kid was an easy target.
Oh, you hadn't heard that part.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then they also were they had like sadistic porns within the rectory and in the church like buildings themselves that they were like beating these kids with whips and tying them up, and I mean, I don't even understand how like the entire I don't know, priesthood in Pennsylvania is not in prison right now. Like every
Yeah.
single one of them needs to be in jail.
And by any laws that exist, everyone who knew this was happening,
Like, they all need to be in jail.
prison. You have to really wonder how many of these people didn't know.
Right.
Because obviously you're not going to go around telling everyone, but the number of people who had to know about this that weren't personally doing it is terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, when the whole thing first broke years ago with the Boston
Right.
Priests, and they were something like, what did they say? It was like it was more priests in Boston were arrested for pedophilia than I would have guessed there are priests in Boston.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know there were over 1,000 priests just in Boston.
Well, even in this area in Westchester, there was a priest, and I mean, he recently died, but I don't think that I think they took him out of the diocese, and I'm not even sure that he ever went to jail, but he had molested like almost 100 kids.
Yeah, no, it's the kind of thing that like any organization should kind of have to stop existing over. But you know what? I gotta say, I'm uncomfortable even talking about such a subject like this because, you know, I'm not a victim of molestation. I can't even speak for like what should be done for this. Dan, what do you think should happen?
Well, as somebody who's been looked at a few times,
and I don't, not that I think you were molested. I just look at you and I'm like, you seem like you would have been targeted. You're very
I'm
quiet.
flattered.
You're very quiet. You're adorable.
For the listeners, Dave is handing a gold cross to
Dave did put me into this tank top.
This is true.
You walked in and I said, "Go to the
Go and
bathroom
change."
change into the shorts and tank top I brought for you."
And then when he came in, Dave was like, "Hello, Daddy."
And actually, to be fair, that's not what I said. I said you can put them on here if you want. But go to the bathroom if that's what you want to do.
shorts and little skin.
Yeah, but it's, you know, I went to Catholic school from kindergarten through 12th grade, and from 6th grade to 12th grade, I went to an all-girls Catholic school. And I, like, in elementary school, like, there was definitely, like, a priest that, like, everybody was just like, oh, like, he's calling you where? Yeah, you don't want to go to that.
Yikes.
And then in high school, like, we had a nun that we called Mr. Sister. And so, like, she would, even if it was, like, your worst enemy, if someone came up to you in the hall and was like, Mr. Sister just called me into her office, and you're like, all right, I'll fucking go with you, but, like, don't talk to me. Like, it
Was she
was
accused
just
of something?
So no one ever said that she touched them, but, like, let's say, for instance, I had a friend, and we were walking up the stairs, and Mr. Sister said to her, Erin, do you know what day it is? And she's like, yeah, it's Tuesday. And then she's like, why do your underwear say it's Friday?
What?
Yeah, so she had looked up her skirt, and
Oh
she
my
had
God.
like days of the week underwear
Oh,
on it.
boy.
Wasn't the Tuesday, it was like another day. So she was like, so like we knew that she like at least was looking up her skirt.
Yeah.
So, and she would just get like very uncomfortably close to you, but like no one would, I mean, I don't know who was left alone with her or anything like that, but for the most part, everyone would just grab you and just be like, hey, you got to come with me.
So while this may have been a terrible situation, it also might just be a bunch of unfounded rumors, and you're just misgendering this poor woman who just wanted to educate people. Okay.
Yes, those Catholic schools are very much about education.
We also had Sister Psycho. I mean, everybody had a name.
Yeah, I never went to. I'm a Jew. I didn't really, but I did go to a Hebrew school just in first grade, and it was hell. I went just first grade. I went to a school where, well, I still hate my parents for doing this, among other things. They put me in a class where I was where they spoke Hebrew. I was
You'll
not.
figure it out.
I was not raised to speak Hebrew, yet everyone else in this class was, and so they told my parents that they thought I was retarded
Oh boy.
because I couldn't speak.
That was all their master plan. They were trying to get you in the easy classes, and then you could shine.
Yeah. No, they literally told my parents that I had a learning disability because every other kid in this class is doing fine except for me. And I'm like, every kid in this class speaks the fucking language of the class.
I remember when I
Like,
was a
did
little
they not know?
No, they said, no, he'll pick it up. If you immerse him in it, he'll pick it up.
Immersion.
And I'm like, okay, well, first day, everyone is talking to each other in this demon language I've never heard before. And they just think I'm just going to magically, through osmosis, know
Well-
what they're saying. It was a fucking joke.
Well, can you speak Hebrew now?
No! I did my bar mitzvah phonetically and never looked at it again. I didn't know a goddamn word I was saying the entire time.
I didn't even know that was an option. That's great though.
I wrote it. I did my bar mitzvah by writing down the prayers I had to say in English phonetically and then memorizing.
You did
that.
Hooked on Phonics for Hebrew.
Yeah.
That was it.
Like, I don't think anyone learning Hebrew knows what it means.
No.
It's just a mantra. It was just like, I have to do this in order to, like, finish this party so that I can get paid and give the money directly back to my dad to pay for the bar mitzvah. Yeah, everyone thinks that Jews keep that money. I didn't keep a goddamn thing. The money went to pay for the party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Whole Judaism's a racket.
It's put on by the DJ industry.
No, seriously. Yeah. If you go to a bar mitzvah,
They invented the bar mitzvah.
buy an object like as a gift and throw away the receipt.
Yeah.
That's the only way that kid's getting it.
I remember being a little kid. My parents would tell me about like the Catholic school, like the nuns that they had in Catholic school, and they'd like hit them with rulers and pull their hair and stuff. And I'd be like, man, the Catholic Church really has some problems.
Yeah. Those people are sick. They got to stop doing what they're doing to those children.
If only.
Yeah, I think I was in second grade when they finally couldn't hit us anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like a big, it was like almost they were reflective. Like they still had like the paddle in the top drawer and they would pull the drawer and we'd like, but you can't do it anymore.
They didn't say anything about threatening.
Like, yeah.
You can still
But
do it.
Once you know it's an empty threat, then you can really have
Yeah.
some fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Did you guys ever get hit in public school? Because you know they could do that.
In Texas, they can do that. I think it's a state thing.
It's happened. Oh yeah. I do remember getting hit in that when I was in first grade in that Hebrew school.
Yeah.
I do remember getting. Well, no, I got dragged by my ear once.
You get hit from right to left, though. It's different.
Yeah. Well done. But yeah, I never got hit like in public school. But I knew it did happen. Some teachers just didn't give a shit.
They were old school. They were tenured.
Yeah.
They weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I got hit in college, but that was a different story.
what did you say?
No, it was all just a look, but I had it coming. Actually,
Those philosophy classes can get out of hand.
just when I was in Syracuse all week
Yeah.
for this thing we were doing, and I went to college there, so it was like my first time going back, like since like going to college, and like just trying to find like is anyone I know still here. And actually, one of my friends still has the same job from when I went there, but it's like such a small town that he's doing great working at a restaurant. He bought a house, and I was like, that's good. But like the funny thing about Syracuse, I just remember it was just like I had never been like upstate New York before. I didn't know that people who lived north of Manhattan could own Confederate flags.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had no idea that there were like rednecks in upstate New York.
Well, yeah, like Kid Rock, I think, had a big.
He's
part
from
of that.
Michigan, yeah.
and he's like all about the Confederate flag.
Which is amazing because his whole career it was built on black people.
Yeah, he was like started as a rapper. Who he tour with?
Wasn't his first album called like Grits and Gravy?
Yeah, something like that. And he toured with like Ice-T or something.
Of course he did. He
Yeah.
was just trying to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what a piece of shit he is.
I guess your only remaining excuse if you're like north of the Mason-Dixon Confederate flag guy is like you're just a really big fan of the Dukes of Hazzard. That's the only thing you can say at this point.
You know what, though? I was a fan of the Dukes of Hazzard as a small child, too.
You can go buying a lot of memorabilia.
I literally had no idea that show was, like, racist.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think maybe the show wasn't itself racist, but just the idea that, like,
The Confederate flag was everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know what the Confederate flag was. I just knew that's what their car was.
Yeah, well, a lot of them didn't really think about that. Like Tom Petty toured with the Confederate flag, and then like just later he like said like, "I'm sorry, I screwed up. I had no idea. It was just always around."
Look at him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well, Leonard Skinner said they never wanted to have a Confederate flag, but it was a marketing thing.
Yeah.
That they said their manager was like, no, this is going to really, we're going to make a feud with Neil Young. People are going to love it.
Oh boy.
So Sweet Home Alabama was just a concocted diss track.
Yes. Sweet Home Alabama was, of course, the response to Neil
He was
Young's
beefing
Southern
with
Man.
Southern Man.
Oh,
Beefing
wow.
with Neil Young.
Yeah, and that they were like, and they said we never wanted to have it all be all about Confederate flags and about the South. We were just, good old. I think the guy who said like it was like he was like where they were like liberals.
Neil Young might have been making fun of all of us too, because he's from Canada, and technically we're all Southern men
Right.
compared to him.
But that's why they were so pissed off because it was a Canadian telling the Southerners, you guys own slaves.
Oh yeah, we don't want no Canadian or any European coming over here telling us.
I mean, meanwhile, Canadians own slaves too. So it's not
Yeah.
like that. But, they had a much better history of post-slavery than
But
the South.
We all hate French people already, so it's fine.
Yeah. No, it's true. We should do something about them. French Canadians, I mean. The French are fine. French Canadians, we don't need them. Just speak English. They're the only people I'm willing to yell speak English at.
Not even speak English, just stop giving me dirty looks when you hear me speaking English in Canada. Like, I'm not, just because I'm not speaking French.
Yeah. I just feel like, I just don't respect the French as conquerors. I just don't respect their conquering. I don't think that we should be like, still speaking their languages. They didn't do nearly enough empire shit to get away with that now. Anyway, back to the news. So there was something. What was the? Oh yeah, this is the big story this week. Let's just get into it because it's an easy one to talk about. Omarosa.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about Omarosa. If I knew in 2005 that we'd be talking about Omarosa on a news show with this much importance, I would have fucking killed myself.
Just related note somewhat, I just thought about this. Like, if you had told me in 2005 that I would celebrate Donald Trump's eventual death way more than I celebrated Osama bin Laden's, I would have been really confused, but that's where we are right now. So.
Yeah, the idea that like if Osama bin Laden and Trump were locked in a cage somewhere, we would all be begging. We'd be like, we could kill Osama when it's over.
Hang on, Osama.
just win so we can kill you. I mean, I want them. I'd want them both to die. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Omarosa.
Omarosa is dropping more tapes than R. Kelly.
This is what I don't like about Omarosa's situation. People act like you can't enjoy what she's doing to Trump unless you approve of her as a person. And I feel like, can't we just enjoy and just hate them both and just be happy
Yeah.
that one's destroying the other?
Wasn't her most hateable characteristic that she worked for Trump? Wasn't that the thing? And now she's like kind of.
Well, she was always like
known
the
for that.
villain. Like she was always kind of like backstabby on like all
yeah.
of these like reality TV shows.
That's why he loved her.
Yeah,
They were both just nasty,
She was like his
classless
mini-me,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just both like just awful, childish people who seem to constantly be very aware of what their face looks like. Constantly just making faces to let people know they're serious or let people know they're not serious. Like they never seem to be at rest in their faces. It's kind of like when Trump attacked the Miss Venezuela, was it? And he called like Miss Piggy. And then Trump was like, well, she's not a great person. She had a friend who robbed a bank. And it was like, what does, like that, it's that same mentality. It's like, you can do a bad thing to a person who's not a saint and you're not it doesn't mean you didn't do a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the enemy of your enemy is your best friend.
Yeah.
No, I feel like
For
they can,
now, until like we'll see if she like folds back into like the Trump train later.
That's the mistake we made with the Mujahideen. When we backed the Mujas against Soviet Union in Afghanistan and they became the terrorists. The enemy of your enemy can still suck.
Yeah.
Can still turn around and kill you. So I'm just saying it's really, really, really important that when this is over, we don't let Omarosa stay on television.
I think she's going to be like everywhere. But like my
Who
question
wants to
really.
be a millionaire always needs a host.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's just-
Yeah.
Are they still making those?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
are.
Oh my god.
But now they're saying that
good
she's
show.
got probably like 200 tapes, and then they're also saying that it's not just audio; that she's got videotape, she has emails, she has text messages, and that's just like basically like a digital treasure trove of information, both during the campaign and while she was in the White House. And my question would really be: is she working for the government?
No. Oh, not at all. This
I-
is 100% something she's doing because she wants to do it.
I would not be surprised if she is not working for the government.
But wait, do you really believe that there's a deep state propaganda campaign against the president?
No,
Because
I
that's
think
something only his believers believe.
no. I think that he has been in bed with the Russians for decades.
Yeah.
And that she was just too perfect to be able to get so close to him, and she just happened to fall into the fact that he continued to collude with Russia. Like, let's say that she was working for a government agency years ago and they were just trying to get him on embezzlement. Little did they know he was actually going to run for president, become president, and still be fucking with the Russians.
Nah, I think she's just a bitch.
I think it's more.
She just wants to fuck him over.
She
But
might
I
be doing
think
exactly what I would do in that
well-
situation if I was like getting into some kind of business with Donald Trump, which would be like record everything he says
Yeah.
and then like use that treasure trove and like if you have a book
Yeah,
come
there's
out or
def-
something
yeah.
later, it'd be massive.
But
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I don't know. Like,
She's like him. What do you think Trump would do if
but
he was
all
in
of
her
her
situation?
materials are like so like the audio is fantastic. Like, I don't think she wasn't just like using her cell phone and recording like
she might
and then
have
where
Well, she could also have recording devices. You could trust me. You can. I've bugged myself before for other things. It's not that hard. I think she is a conniving person who went into this being like, I'm going to screw everybody as hard as I can, which was the right thing to do. You're working for someone who's known for screwing people. No, I think she's just. It makes perfect sense what she's doing.
But what's on these tapes? Like, what is she?
Yeah.
well, so she's dropped a few already. So one
It's like the life of Pablo. It's coming out a little bit at a time.
yeah, like every couple of days she's been dropping one. So like the first one was when she was in the Situation Room when John Kelly was firing her, and he was basically like threatening her, saying that if you have to leave amicably, otherwise your reputation is going to suffer. The next one was of her talking to Donald Trump, where he claims that he didn't know that she was being fired.
and you can hear it in his voice how much of a goddamn liar he is.
Like,
He's
well, I don't love that you're going.
It's so obvious that he's lying in that moment where he's just like, they fired you. Oh my, I had no idea. Oh yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
They run a big operation.
I don't know who's in
Yeah.
charge, but I'm gonna talk to him.
It just fakes a phone
Yes.
call. At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the next one,
Katrina Pearson talking about the N-word tape.
right?
Now, here's what was great about the strategy of that. So she announces, I have a tape of the White House staff discussing the N-word usage by Trump. And that with Katrina Pearson. Katrina Pearson says, that's a lie. And then she releases the tape of it happening.
Right.
And then Katrina Pearson has to be like, oh, well, you clearly caught me lying just now. So now what she has to do is, if she doesn't have a tape of something, she can say she does, and if they're afraid to deny it, they just admitted it, even if it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of a good strategy, because now they're afraid to deny things because they don't know what she has.
Yeah.
At this point, I think that she's not saying anything she doesn't have a tape to back up.
Oh, no. That the whole strategy is she can just say shit now. And that
she can,
and
but
then
I know
we assume
that
she
like
hasn't. Well, because Michael Cohen already said the thing about him eating paper wasn't real, and Michael Cohen has literally no reason to help Trump in any way.
Yeah.
So I think I know. Don't forget, it's important to remember, Omarosa is a liar.
yeah, but that's the reason why I think that she at this particular point in time she's not saying anything she doesn't have something to back it up for, because she knows that she's not a credible person.
Well, she said there's an N-word tape, and she doesn't have she can't back that one up anyway. She says she said someone has it.
Right.
She doesn't have it, and we've been hearing that for a while. And oh yeah, by the way,
but Penn from
Yeah.
Penn and Teller said that he was in the room when it was said, so
no,
he knows
he didn't. Penn never said he heard the N-word specifically. He just said that he would use a lot of really offensive language. He never actually said he heard the N-word. He was afraid to corroborate that specific part. But now, just before we get into this, does anyone here not think there's an N-word tape?
Yeah, there's definitely an N-word tape, but I mean, I think there's
It's like a video of a
almost-
wedding toast or something from like 1983. Like that. But yeah, there's got to be a tape.
Yeah.
There's
Now,
definitely a tape.
Here's the reason we know there's a tape. Because Trump tweeted, I just got a call from Mark Burnett, who assured me there are no tapes of me saying the N-word. That is not what a person says if there are no tapes of him saying the N-word.
Yeah.
That is someone who knew for an absolute fact that he had said it, by the way, at work. This is not something he said in a private conversation. This is something he said at his job,
Right.
which is which is relevant. That's not, taking advantage. Even if you're the kind of lunatic who says, "Oh, this is private life," he was in a job situation where there were black people there. Like, that's amazing. I actually recently had a conversation with a black man who told me that a white person had said the N-word to him recently as a mistake. It was actually a voiceover he was doing, and the person reading the voiceover the person had to read each line before they said it, and then said the N-word by accident and like apologized, like, I'm sorry, I meant to say N-word, but that was literally the N-word was part of what he had to say, so it's just part of her job. She didn't mean any bad, and he goes, I was actually really happy. It was the first time I ever heard a white person say like the real N-word, like with a hard R, and I just remember being like, wow, you're in your 30s. You have the most charmed life I've ever imagined.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I had a white person say that to me, I was in like third grade.
Yeah, exactly. I that's what I assumed happened to all black people. I didn't know that there were any black people that made it all the way to adulthood and never had a white person call them that. I was actually really happy about this.
I think like a lot of like millennials, they haven't really, but I think that if you grew up in like the 80s and like you definitely have.
That's a shame. But also, your dad hung out with cops. Your dad's her dad, Marissa's dad's a cop, so, and as she's pointed out, he didn't really care for black people either, did he?
Yeah, my dad didn't like anybody.
And he was, black.
Oh, was he?
We're on radio, Marissa. I'm sorry, everyone. Marissa is an African American person. I should have mentioned that earlier, so that everyone understands what we were talking about. But yes, Marissa's father is both black and
He's retired now, but
hates them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice guy, though, I'm assuming.
No, my dad's a dick. But I think we should take a quick break.
All right.
And we'll be right back, you guys.
Just take a quick minute. Let's open that door. Yeah. Thank you so much, by the way.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me.